So this is certainly an interesting development in the world of NASCAR, albeit one that is not unexpected. Jeff Gordon will leave his role as analyst for Fox Sports and will be moving over to Hendrick Motorsports full-time to become officially the second most powerful man in perhaps the most famous team in stock car racing. Hendrick Motorsports released this today. Jeff Gordon, the four-time NASCAR champion, television broadcaster, and NASCAR Hall of Fame member, has been named vice chairman of Hendrick Motorsports, which will make him the second-ranking team official to chairman and majority owner Rick Hendrick. As vice chairman and co-owner, Gordon will maintain a daily presence at Hendrick Motorsports with a focus on the organization's competition and marketing groups. The Vallejo, California native will report to Hendrick and work alongside President Marshall Carlson and General Manager Jeff Andrews. In addition, he will join Hendrick on NASCAR's Team Owner Council and assume Hendrick Motorsports' seat on the sanctioning body's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Gordon, 49, will formally assume the strategic executive management role on January 1st, 2022. Now, this is what his Fox Sports companions had to say about Jeff leaving the broadcast booth. First, Mike Joy. I'm gutted. No one brought more to a race telecast than Jeff Gordon. 93 wins, 4 titles, current inside knowledge of how NASCAR Cup teams win and struggle. Jeff's concise, factual style, humor, and concerted effort to avoid bias will be playbook for future Fox Sports analysts. And now we have Clint Bowyer. Happy for Jeff Gordon, an incredible opportunity for him. So glad I got the chance to share my first year of broadcasting with him. Trust me, no two people ever had more fun than we did this year. At least I won't have to agree with him on how good his cars are next year. And so that's where I'll kind of start my discussion of kind of where this places NASCAR. First of all, I want to talk about Fox Sports because I think, at least in the short term, that's what's going to affect most of the fans who are probably watching this the most. So obviously, him leaving, Jeff Gordon leaving the booth, leaves quite a large gap to possibly be filled. Now, as we know, there was a point where Mike Joy and Jeff Gordon did kind of a duo act. Are we about to see the same thing with Mike Joy and Clint Bowyer? My personal opinion would be that Clint Bowyer kind of needs a straight man to his kind of goofy, really off the rails style of commentary. He needs somebody who will argue with him, kind of the Uncle Bobby to his Sam Posey, so to speak. I don't know if the booth would work with just Mike Joy and Clint Bowyer. Now, I've heard a few people suggest Jamie McMurray. Honestly, I don't know enough about his commentary. I've heard him a couple times on Race Hub. I think I've heard him on an Xfinity race or two. The jury's out for me. I don't know if he would really be the right guy to really get the best out of Clint, because I think that's really the key in whoever Fox Sports chooses, if they do choose someone, is that this has to be someone who can get Clint Bowyer to be entertaining but not completely go off the reservation. He needs to be entertaining but not totally bonkers. Kind of like the way DW, like 2001 Darrell Waltrip versus like 2018 Darrell Waltrip. There's definitely a difference there. So you want Bowyer closer on the 2001 Waltrip than you want him on the 2018 Waltrip. So that makes me kind of wonder, would a Larry Mack come back to possibly revise his role or revitalize his role as the crew chief analyst, who he really did such a good job there at Fox Sports for so long, and I think in a lot of ways he kept Darrell Waltrip in check. So I wonder if he'd be able to do the same for Clint Bowyer. The other question I would have is, not a question, but I think it's obvious why Jeff couldn't stay there any longer. It was already iffy enough with his relationship with Hendrick Motorsports. I think a lot of people picked up on that, including I think at one point Brad Keselowski made a comment about it that didn't go over very well. But when you get this high to a level in a team, you can't really be unbiased anymore. I mean, you are truly in or within the inner workings of one of the most successful teams in NASCAR. And certainly, I think Hendrick Motorsports right now is having a renaissance. I think their driver lineup is extremely strong. You look at Chase Elliott, obviously the defending champion of the series. William Byron really kind of coming into his own. Alex Bowman, another driver who's kind of coming into his own, beginning to win quite a bit more and be more consistently competitive. And then, of course, what else can I say about Kyle Larson? It kind of spins off the video I did yesterday where I said he's essentially the second coming of AJ Foyt, but I think you can throw a lot of Jeff Gordon in there as well based on his upbringing and how he's kind of come onto the NASCAR scene and where he's found success, which is, of course, with Hendrick Motorsports. So it's pretty clear Hendrick moving Jeff Gordon into this role, second in command to Rick Hendrick. They're priming Jeff Gordon as a successor to Rick Hendrick at this team. This seems to be the succession plan. And it really couldn't be coming at a better time for Jeff Gordon because he is seeing this organization arguably at its peak. I mean, obviously it's had peaks in the past. Jeff Gordon was the headliner for many of those great successes. But again, I look at this lineup that Hendrick has and the success they're having right now, particularly with Larson and to a lesser extent Elliott. I think they're primed and ready to go and to be a dynasty in NASCAR. So Jeff Gordon being in or very close to this organization at this point in time hopefully will help him when he eventually, again, that's my speculation, takes over the organization or takes over the day-to-day organization at Hendrick Motorsports. Now, I kind of think going off of that perfect timing thing, I mentioned it earlier, which is that having the lead driver be Kyle Larson, or at least the top performing driver be Kyle Larson, that's something I think that for the longest time I think it was rumored that Jeff was really the one who was pushing hardest for Kyle Larson to be in that seat. Well, now he's got Kyle Larson. Now he can jump into this role, and hopefully he will elevate the performance of this team. And I don't see any reason that he wouldn't. In fact, I think he's going to cater a lot more to what Kyle Larson wants and understand what Kyle Larson wants and needs, as well as Chase Elliott. I mean, that's the thing that you always heard in the booth, right? He knows so much about the Hendrick Motorsports organization because he was invested in the Hendrick Motorsports organization. But being a driver, having that knowledge, like Mike Joy mentioned, recent driving knowledge, I think this is really exciting. Now, do I think it's totally going to become Gordon Motorsports overnight? No, I don't. But I think it's pretty obvious where the wind is blowing right now. And things seem to be kind of on the up and up for especially Hendrick Motorsports. It looks, again, kind of like they're shaping up their dynasty once again after having a bit of a lull there at the end of the last decade. Fox Sports, again, kind of not really sure. I don't know who they could get because you look at some of the drivers who have done really good color commentary in the nationwide Xfinity races earlier this year, or the last 2 years, and there's not a lot of great talent that isn't like super close to retirement. I guess you could say Kurt Busch, but even then he's still probably going to be around for the next couple of years. And then even after he leaves Cup, does that mean he's totally going to be done with racing? Who knows? Or at least done with racing enough to do a full-time broadcasting career. I don't know. Let me know what you think. What do you think of Jeff Gordon taking over this role at Hendrick Motorsports? What do you think about him leaving Fox Sports? And who do you think could replace Jeff Gordon at Fox Sports? Do you think he needs to be replaced? All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. Subscribe for more motorsport content, and I will see you in the next video.